What's that?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Y'all, we haven't jammed to that in a few months, and as soon as the song started playing, I was like, what?
I missed it.
I was like, I didn't realize how much I missed hearing that intro.
Same, you guys. Everybody, hey there. Welcome to the Maker Meetup, episode 1 of season 3. We are so excited to have you guys here with us. If you guys have joined us through the past 2 seasons, welcome back. If you are new here, welcome to the Maker community. Guys, this is a space for makers to be together, for us to have a community to support, educate each other, and just have a great time and bring creativity to your home every single week. Now, guys, season 3 is really exciting. We're doing some things a little bit different. So for season 3, we have 4 full-time experts to share how they turn inspiration into success in the art and business world. Now, we will be discussing how to excel in your own niche, how to pivot into a new industry, making crafting your full-time career, and turning small-scale concepts into large, out-of-this-world sculptures, right? And pieces, works of art. So, before we go on, y'all, you guys know that every single live, we love to do a giveaway. Now, for this week's giveaway, it's really exciting. We are giving somebody that interacts with us in the comments a $100 Moss Epoxy gift card. So thank you, Moss, for that. And also an amazing Moss apron. So make sure you chat with us in the boxes. But even before we go there, for some of you that are here new, you might not know words, guys. You might not know who we all are. So let's introduce ourselves. Kelly.
Hello, I am Kelly. You can find me at KellyBelly62 on Instagram or Creatively Kelly on TikTok.
I'm Haley. You can find me at Artist Haley Nolan on Instagram as well as on TikTok. And I also have a website. It's haleynolan.com. I have a lot of virtual tutorials.
And I'm Ronnie. You can find me at rll.designs, ronnielangley.com, and Ronnie Langley on TikTok and YouTube. I create art, and I also get to host this awesome show with the 3 best ladies in the world. And I am seeing familiar faces over there in the comments. Amy, Nick, Ryan, obviously, Mama J in the house. Like,
Mama!
Hi, what's up?
Yeah. What is up, y'all?
I'm just, I'm so excited to be back for season 3.
You guys, we've missed everybody so much. We have our own chat and we talk about this all the time, how much we love this community, how much we've missed the Maker Meetup. We're super excited to be back. Guys, I am Annie from Annie's Art Studio. I am a resin artist. I do a lot of layering. I do a lot of sculpture pieces with my resin. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I have my own website, anniesartstudio.com. Anywhere you search me, just Annie's Art Studio, I will pop up. But you guys, without further delay, I think we need to introduce our incredible artist that is going to be on with us today. So I am so incredibly literally over the world, moon over everything, excited to introduce this artist. I've been huge fan of his for years, and I know all of you guys know his work. A couple months ago, I was talking with a really good friend of mine, and we were talking about these sculptures and this artist, and he told me that he's not only friends with this artist, but he's also worked with him on his art pieces, and you guys cannot imagine my envy and my excitement. So this artist, you guys, is a multidisciplinary artist. He's known globally for his larger-than-life sculptures and spectacular public art installations. He's traveled the entire world creating his art pieces and huge stage designs. Now, he is most acclaimed for his work at huge music festivals. Can we get in the comments hands up for people who love just all these amazing music festivals all around the world? So let's see you in those comments, guys. Now, he's done the Electric Forest Festival here in the United States. He's done the Boom Festival in Portugal, Rainbow Serpent Festival in Australia, and Africa Burn in South Africa. Now, I would kill to be at any one of these festivals. Oh my God. Now, to say this artist makes a statement with his art pieces, guys, is a complete understatement. His art pieces are known to blur the line between art, sculpture, and brand activation. Y'all, I am so incredibly honored and so excited to introduce to you guys Daniel Popper.
Woo!
Woo-hoo, Daniel!
Bring it up.
Hi, Hi, Daniel.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Thank you so
How are
much
you?
for having me.
Welcome
Thank you for
in.
coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us your time, Daniel.
Thank you, and hi to all the people that have tuned in and to everyone. So
Yeah, we have a lot of people all over the place. So when you're watching right now, let us know where you're watching from.
Yeah. Why don't we tell everybody where we're from? So I know, so Kelly and I are from Los Angeles.
I'm from North Carolina.
And I'm from Florida.
Daniel, where are you right now?
I'm from Cape Town, South Africa, but I'm currently in Boulder, Colorado.
Growing up in South Africa. Oh my God.
The
I
accent
wish
is
that
nice.
would be
I must admit, the accent is very nice. It's pleasing to the ears.
very pleasing.
I feel like you should read audiobooks.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. Daniel, if your sculptures stop working for you one day, just audiobooks would be
Yes, exactly. Voice actor.
doing voiceover work. Listen, I know a friend who knows a friend who's an animator that can get you some gigs, okay? All right, guys, so what we're going to do here, we have a set of questions that we are going to talk to Daniel about, and then afterwards, we are going to do a Q&A with you guys. So get your questions ready, and once we let you know, make sure to pop them in the comments, and we're going to pick you guys out of there. We're going to pick questions so that Daniel can answer those. And again, remember, the giveaway for this week's episode is going to come from somebody that is going to ask questions to Daniel, so get ready. All right, so let's get into it. All right, Daniel. So first of all, again, it's so amazing to have you here with us. Our audience has been buzzing for the past couple days and past week since we announced that you're going to be our first guest on season 3. They're so excited to learn about your incredible journey. Now, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how and when you started getting into the art world? And have you always been an artist, or is this like a path that you found later in life?
So I mean, I've always been an artist. Always like drawn and painted. I studied art in Cape Town, and then I sort of got like, when I graduated, I thought about being an artist, and I was pretty disillusioned with the art world. I was trying to like be one of these sort of contemporary painters, and I just couldn't deal with the gallery sort of space, so I quit, and then started just doing stuff like interesting stuff for festivals, like small stage designs and small art pieces here and there, and one thing led to another, and now I have a career.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. So I taught myself all the sculpting side of things. I was completely self-taught because I just basically shifted over completely to it. So
that's how do you get into the sculpting? Well, what kind of, you were saying before you were a painter, right? Painting. So how did you transfer into like sculpting? That's kind of like jumping a niche, right?
Totally. I mean, so I was just, I was like, I want to do something totally different because I had all this sort of background noise when it came to like contemporary art. And I just wanted to do something that was completely unaffiliated. And I actually started getting into puppetry. So I started to make puppets, and then that was my first entry into the maker place, the maker space. So I was like, what materials do I use? And I was like, how can I make these things giant? And then I was like, well, they need to be lightweight. So then I started looking at light materials, aluminum, fabrics, stuff like that. And then I just kind of, it's just problem solving, one problem after the next, but it gets your head going around, like, and then friends of mine, we just like play the game of like how it's made. When we see interesting things, whatever it might be, industrial design, anything, we just like, how did they make that? And then and then once you have that going in your brain, it doesn't end. So I'm constantly curious,
Yeah.
And when you like going back to the puppetry, what kind of puppets were they? Were they like marionettes, or were they like the
shows?
hand puppets, or like?
So,
I was thinking animated puppets, like kind of animatronics and stuff.
I went and studied with an amazing puppeteer who actually did these animal puppets, but that you like could stand inside, and so like you can operate them. So if you've seen or Google it, check it out, the theater Broadway show called War Horse. They created this insane horse, like out of like bamboo, rattan, and fabric, and the movements of it. I mean, the ears, the whole thing. I was just like, holy shit, how did they make that?
Yeah.
And then I went to go see those guys. They're from South Africa, actually. They from Cape Town, and I like went to go look at how they made that horse. And then that just got me into like movements and joints and stuff like that. And then I started making these like giant puppets that were like figurative, but there was no movement involved. They were just like these. They were like springs, you know. So like they were just big springs above you, but every sort of movement you made, the springs would like move around. But it was really interesting to see. And then things that like wind and, you know, or how fabrics move in the wind. I don't know. That's just sort of where my brain was at with the puppetry stuff. But it was extremely complex. And then I also like the movement stuff, and that, you know, making the puppets is one thing, but then having puppeteers operate them, that's 90% of it. You can make this beautiful puppet, but if somebody doesn't know how to actually is like a movement specialist, then it fails. So that's really where I kind of gave up. I was like, I did it. And then I went into doing like static sculptures, and that was so much more fun because you could make them and they didn't have to move, and you could walk away and they would be there. And then I actually also got into inflatables, like giant inflatables. Somewhere low down on my Instagram, you'll see them. But it was also an experiment I did that also got me into like 3D, because I was like, how do you, if you model something and you unwrap it, what happens if you printed that out and stitched it back together and pumped air into it? You know? So that got me there, but then also like the weather and the wind and the complications around inflatables.
You're speaking to my animator heart right here. It's literally everything we studied in school, like the animatronics, the movement. Literally, they had people that just studied movement, only movement, to make it realistic. That's incredible.
You have such a diverse palette. I love that you were like contemporary painting, and then puppets and inflatables, and now these absolutely stunning structures you make. I mean, that's a journey if I have ever seen one. That is incredible.
And interior design, furniture design, all sorts of shit.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, goals right there, guys. Goals.
Yeah, and we see right here, Julie. What?
I loved what you said about staying curious. Like,
that's it. You know, and I mean, I'm constantly evolving and trying new things. You know,
I think that keeps an audience entertained for like if you're hoping to build a career as an artist. I feel like constantly staying curious and kind of taking people along with you on the curiosity journey is really advantageous business-wise, as well as it keeps you stimulated instead of getting stagnant in one place.
I think you've just got to be willing to take the risk to do it, and you've got to be willing to make a lot of bad work. You see the finished product, they look great, but there's a lot of shit that happens. You know?
We talk about this all the time, girls. Like, you know, we don't call them failures. It's all lessons to grow, because like when you do something wrong, the next time you know what not to do. So it's all part of the growth. But I think, you know, all the mistakes and all the bad jobs and all that, it's all part of the journey. You gotta go through them.
Yeah, I also can't imagine the materialistic journey you had to make from
probably
like acrylics and oils when you were painting, and then suddenly you're working with like structural building material. The only other artist that I know that does scaled up very large structures like yours, he works with fiberglass and resin because of its lightweight and like strong structural ability. What's the easiest material you've worked with, and then what was the one that you tried once and you were like, no, never again?
Well, so you know so when I started into this, the like fiberglass resin, and even now the stuff that I'm doing out of GFRC was a little bit expensive, and it was a bit removed from me, because in order to get into it the best way is like kind of like, you know, what you guys do, you start small. You can make small prototypes, get accustomed to it, but you see that stuff actually is really expensive too. So my mind was like on large scale stuff. I'm now starting to move to like smaller scale, but like it wasn't even an option for me at the time, because I was like, there was no budget, so I wasn't going to create these giant stages. I wasn't getting those kinds of gigs back then. So the whole challenge was like, what can you do with like on large scale that's very cheap to do, you know? So I got an idea. I was in Barcelona, actually. I was walking down the street one day, and I'd seen someone had created some really interesting thing using like old like secondhand tomato boxes, but they were made out of like 1/8-inch plywood. And I just saw how they were bending these tomato boxes in a certain way. And I was like, holy shit, you can actually bend very thin wood like that. So then I started to look at doing that, and it's you know, you can build something with huge amount of volume for very, very cheap, like out of those materials. But it obviously takes time to like figure them out. You know, what are their capabilities, what are their stress points, and all of that stuff, and then how they work. So then it was like, oh, what happens if you soak it in water overnight? You know, then it becomes really flexible, using things like like you get bending board or bending plywood. So that was like the sort of low cost, high impact stuff. And then I started creating sculptures for the Africa Burn, which is the Burning Man festival. But that was it, because we didn't have like big budgets or big machines. So I started using that technique, and then I stayed with that for a while. And then one thing led to another, and then now, you know, when I got this opportunity to do this exhibition I just did in Chicago, and that piece I have done in Fort Lauderdale, one of the big challenges is weather. You know, so it's like, how are you going to create something outdoors that's going to sustain the weather? And that got me into looking at GFRC, which is glass fiber reinforced concrete, which I'd never worked with before. So the only way to try and figure it out was to create samples and prototypes. So that's what I did. And I started working with that material. And it was just one thing led to another. And then, you know, working with fiberglass, resin, getting to the point now that I'm able to like throw down with these different materials. And there's still a long way to go. I mean, I'm now interested in bronze and like aluminum casting and stuff like that. So
wow, Daniel, that's incredible.
That like your ambition outdid your budget, and you were like, we're gonna make it work. Like, we're gonna figure it out. Like, this is a hill we can climb. I absolutely love that. I feel like so many people, especially when they're just starting out and they're feeling really passionate about an idea, they, you know, put down the spreadsheet on costs and they're like, am I that passionate about it? And
I think the older you get, the more, the less riskier you. I sort of had this awareness in my 20s where I was like, I'm cool to be broke for like the next 10 years.
Artist life.
I took every bit of budgets I got given and used them to their full extent. I made no money.
Well, I mean, but also that's how you grow. And if there's a will, there's a way, y'all. Like, I'm sure a lot of us have felt that too. If there's something that we want to do but can't make it work, you gotta make it work. If it's your passion, you just like absolutely need to make it work. Now, Daniel, you create literally out of these world's huge projects. Like, these sculptures are like, how big are they? What's the biggest size project you've made? Before I ask you the next question.
Let me get my meters to feet. The biggest one was like, I think 12 to 13 meters. And then the one we did at Boom Festival was about 12 to 13 meters tall. That was done. So that's what's
three.
Yeah, I was going to say
42 feet.
Whoa! That is 42 feet.
That's like a cliff you can jump off of.
I hope you have good medical insurance for making these projects. I hope you have like the premium plan, the like gold member.
We've only just sort of gotten that, but a lot of risky moments, I won't lie.
Oh my God.
I bet your team have stories that you could sit around a campfire and share for days. That is
I must say, I put it to my team who work for me. Yeah, our guys, they've risked their lives for the art.
Oh my goodness!
I'm personally scared of heights. Like, I don't go. I'm like,
oh my gosh!
I send the boys up. I'm like, no.
Oh my God, Daniel! That's
like,
hilarious.
do they have like rock climbing gear on and stuff like that? And
I mean, you know, in South Africa, and that's what we learned. It's a wild west there. I mean, a lot of us didn't initially. We freeballed it. No harnesses, no safety gear.
Oh my
just
God.
like crazy shit. I mean, now obviously we've become a lot more professional. Everyone's got full safety gear. Everything you need. You know, and very, very licensed machine operators. I mean, you learn, you know. You can take these risks in your 20s. Now,
not no more. All right, Daniel. So these huge sculptures of yours, a lot of your pieces are these beautiful, gorgeous human figures with the most intricate and delicate designs. Where does this inspiration come from, and how do you put all of these small little details on such huge pieces of work? Now, you talked about, you know, some of the materials and like the wood and how you like wet it and bend it and all this, but some of your work just has the most incredible detail on these 42 feet pieces. Now, before you answer that question, Matt, can we put up some of Daniel's work on the screen just so our audience can see what we're talking about? I mean, look at that. Look at that detail. Like all the intricate, it looks like there's like braids on there.
Yeah.
Such huge sculptures. Like how do you, where does this inspiration come from with the human figure art? And on top of it, like how do you do all these little details?
Well, I mean, you know, it's you all are artists yourselves. So basically think about your own process, right? So some of the stuff that you've made, remember when you made one of your first few things, it gave you the idea for the next thing to make. Like while you were busy with it, you were like, ooh, imagine we could do this, but like that. You know? So each piece informs the next one. And, you know, I'll stand back at a piece and I'll look at it and I'm like, wow, that was like what I did there. I love it. I was like, next piece, I'm going to do more of that thing or less of that thing and see how I can use it in a different way. It's you know, you're involved in the creative process. It's how it goes. You know, you kind of feed off of it as you go. It's like little bites along the way. When you look at one piece on its own, isolated, you're like, how the hell did you arrive at this thing? You just see the end product. But just imagine your process enlarged. It's the same process. There's no difference. You know?
How do you move these sculptures, right? They are traveling. So
are you in pieces?
They're in pieces.
So that's what a lot of like initially it was a pen and paper, sort of like risking it, winging it, just being like, well, this theoretically should work, and then you know, figuring it out when it didn't work. But using computer software and stuff like that now, we pre-pack the trucks in CAD.
Oh
so
wow!
We'll pack the shipping containers or the trucks in like Rhino.
That's brilliant.
Never would have thought about that.
Incredible. That's incredible. Yeah.
So you know, you're limited when you're making something big by your components have to be within the dimensions of a shipping container. So then the interesting thing comes of like where you're going to cut it up, you know.
Yeah.
And when you were painting before you got into your sculptures, were you still painting human figures, or did you have a different art style that you would paint?
Initially, I was still doing it a bit, and I'm doing a lot of figure drawing. Like I was going to figure drawing classes. I still love doing that. I love drawing. And I mean, drawing is like, I think drawing is the riskiest, craziest activity, you know, like to get out of your head and into just really drawing is probably one of the hardest mediums I work with. And because it's so immediate, you can't like really escape. So yeah, I definitely kept doing that. I don't paint much anymore. No, I'm now all into like, I work in 3D, a 3D model. I then, you know, that's for a period. I'll do big sets of like doing that, and then I move into the live. Like now, we just spent 2.5 months in Chicago on site, like putting actually physically sculpting and putting the pieces together.
Do you go through different steps? Like I know you're saying you 3D model now for the concept, right? But then do you do like a small sculpture? Do you do half a size of what the bigger one is? Like what's the the scale of test runs?
Now with 3D printing, it's like fucking voodoo black magic. Every time I do it,
it is
fucking kidding me. Like, I can't actually believe that it's real. Because before I would make the maquettes myself, you know, like whether it be with clay or whatever, paper mache or wire frames or whatever, you know, also using a lot of foam and stuff like that. I'd make the miniatures, and then you're able to look at those. It's similar with architects, and I make architectural models. Now with 3D printing, that's just changed everything. So we print the 3D model, we look at it, we see where the stress points are going to be, then we engineer it, we'll take it to an engineer, and it really informs the process tremendously.
That was my next question. There has to be some kind of engineering that goes into these huge sculptures. It's one thing to 3D model something. Like I know how that works. You can build anything in a 3D model, and it's going to be the most gorgeous thing, but like, can you tell us a little bit about like the engineering, like physical engineering that goes into holding these pieces up? Like, does that have a play into how you design your pieces? Because it has to work together.
So it's often it's done in reverse often. So like I'll design the sculpture, and then it's like, how the hell are we going to do this? And then I've got 2 partners that work with me, and then we'll look at it. We'll do our best. Now we have more experience. It takes a bit of time to get there. Because initially I would just go to an engineer and be like, what do I do? And then they would look at it and be like, they don't want to look. They don't like looking at things. But we would find some engineers. There's some engineers, I must say, along the way who've just like, they've been so excited by the idea of engineering something other than a staircase, you know?
Yeah.
So they'll look at it and work with me and be like, give me some direction, then we'll go and design the structural stuff. And then it's got to be done in a certain way, in a certain format that can be taken into engineering software like Start Pro and stuff like that. So like we'll also do it up in SolidWorks. Then you take it into the engineering software, and then I'll run calculations at it, and then the engineers will come back to us and say, you need to use thicker steel, you need to have more members or steel here and there, and then we'll take it from there. So we're definitely getting better at that process, because we're noticing that we're able to like present a packet to the engineers. They look at it and they come back and they go, that looks cool.
Nice.
That's incredible. I mean, I knew there has to be some kind of just incredible engineering work that goes into.
Yeah. I mean, the piece in Fort Lauderdale was engineered to withstand 180 mile an hour wind loads for the hurricanes. So
oh my gosh!
Wow!
Let's hope that never gets put to the test. But I mean,
that's right on the coast of Florida. Which, by the way, Florida is getting another hurricane soon. So.
We're getting a hurricane today, right now.
Oh, today, yeah. Okay.
Also, you guys plan ahead though, and I was going to say, Julie Mills, I believe, asked an awesome question. She asked, "What's like usually the average time span a project takes for you?" And I want to lump onto that. What's the longest project you've ever like done?
For me, more time the better. Like, but at the same time, especially when it comes to creative projects. When the deadline's on, it also makes you move, So like, I remember when I was doing exhibitions, I'd have like a month to prepare for the exhibition, but like spend the first 6 months doing nothing, and then cram it all in there. But typically, I like at least a month of design work, being able to like really work it, and then again, depending on your deadline is also dependent on how much you have to reach out to other people, So like,
right.
I know my homie Mike Ballion, he's on the stream here. He connected us. He connected
me too.
Mike's a masterful ZBrush artist, and so like I'll be designing something, and then it gets to the point where it really needs finishing in order to now take it to the next step. Say for like 3D printing, there's a lot of like little finicky stuff that needs to happen in 3D models, and you don't notice them, and often having a backup or somebody you can call like Mike who can help you out is key. So I would, I'll do that. I'll reach out to Mike. I'll be like, dude, I need this and this done on the model. Can you help me? He'll figure it out. He'll not sleep for a couple of nights and make sure it gets done. And then that's really, so that could, I like at least a month to do that. It is quite tight to do a really beautiful model in a month, but like, if the better you are at that software stuff, the better, the quicker it goes, obviously. Yeah, my homie Justin Fields is on the call as well. He's just joined us up. And again, also somebody who, does insane ZBrush work. So like it was Justin and Mike and Steve Teeps who introduced me to this world of 3D modeling and how far you can really take it. I mean, I had an idea, but I never had any clue until I met those guys. So, but so typically you want, I would say a month. You can bust out 3D model in a day if you want, but to really make sure this thing is done properly I'd like about a month to do that. Then we go into the engineering phase, which also I want about a month. We would like a month. It's a lot to ask for. Sometimes you get, we just don't have it. And because there's a lot of back and forth there, trial and error, stuff like that. And then about 6 weeks or so on fabrication. So like the boom sculptures and the piece in Tulum, those sculptures we did without 3D modeling. We just did those on site from start to finish. It took us about the one in Tulum took us about 5 weeks, was about a crew of 5 guys from start to finish. We lived on the beach and we built that whole sculpture on the beach.
That's great.
The
5 weeks.
The Boom Festival one, we were there for about 7 weeks. That big 42-foot one, we were there for 7 weeks again, start to finish. A team of about 7 guys. So
that seems like such a short period of time.
Yeah.
That seems like such a short period of time, Daniel.
it's
Like
brutal.
I can't.
It's savage. Like there's like very, very limited days off. It's not for the faint-hearted. I tell you, it was hardcore. And then but typically I want like 6 to 8 weeks for fabrication. For me, is comfortable to get it to a point that I'm ready to ship. Then we'll ship it out, and then shipping, depending on where it's coming from or where it's going, obviously. And then the installation is very much dependent on the design. So like those pieces in Chicago, they're also different and so varied. The one like with the hands open with like all the roots connecting that was the most brutal installation. It took us like 2 weeks to put that together.
The roots. 2 weeks. Are they real?
Oh man, it was so intense. And then like the you know, like the figure with all the faces on it, that one, it was so well designed. The faces just bolted on. It took us like 2 days to put it together.
Nice. Okay. Damn.
Wow.
That sounds great.
It sounds like a very brutal process, but it sounds like your team is probably like so tight afterwards. Like, an installation.
I've got the two partners I spoke of, Rob and Sam. They've been with me for like 10 years now, you know, and we're at a place where we don't really need to tell each other. Like, we know what needs to happen. But you know, and then we meet different people along the way. So like, if there's any of you out there that want to come along and volunteer on one of these crazy rides, I tell you, it looks glamorous. I mean, just like you girls get your hands full of epoxy all the time. It looks, the end results look glamorous. The actual physical doing of it is sometimes not pretty. But if you guys want to join us at all, like, just hit me up. Let me know. We're doing a project.
Definitely do that.
Oh, I'm going.
Next year, we're doing a project in Wynwood in Miami. We're going to be doing
She's already there.
Next I'm interested in exploring is like the world of mosaicing. I love mosaics. I'm like obsessed with them. I've never used them in my work before, but it's something I'm thinking of doing. But it takes time, and it takes a long time. So
mosaic
come along and help us.
We will be there, Daniel.
We have lots of people in the comments saying they are raising their hands across the internet.
Daniel, when you're ready, you let me know, and we will put something together and kind of like try to bring the maker community, and we will all come and help you. So we are here for you. We want to be part of that family. Daniel, before we get into the Q&A with the audience, I have one more question for you. So as resin artists, we all really aspire to grow and to make really large projects. Now, I don't think we've ever thought of making resin sculptures as big as, you know, your brilliant pieces. But what are some of your expertise fundamentals to like level up an artist's work in any kind of field where the artist might be? You know, like what's a way to like just make your work just be bigger and then like kind of like start making the footprints that you've made in the world?
Like I said earlier, you know, just take risks, like, and go for the opportunities. Like the festival environment is a place where you will not get rich, but you will get given a place to play. Like if you want to do it, reach out to the festivals, reach out to art directors, put concepts together. They have no money for you, just know that. So don't go into it like, you know, expecting, you know, thousands of dollars. Like just be realistic. Like take whatever they give you, and use that money and do something cool. I mean, you know, we often get like a lot of odd requests, and we still do it. I mean, like I did for Firefly Festival. They wanted some lanterns. I designed these fireflies for them. They were like, I did 1,000 fireflies for them. Initially, the initial design I wanted them to be out of like a clear sort of acrylic resin, and for them to glow like the sort of bulbs, like a light bulb, basically. And I then looked into doing them, and like the injection molding, like just creating the molds was like ridiculously expensive, and I just didn't have the budget to do it, you know. So I went to Bali, I went to Indonesia, and I worked with these guys who do like the basket weaving, and we managed to do 1,000 of them.
Wow, incredible!
But it was like not for any money, just because I wanted to see what 1,000 lanterns, firefly lanterns look like. So you will get those opportunities in the event space, but don't go into them thinking you're going to make money and make bucks. Don't do it, but use that as an opportunity to create stuff and to take risks and to like see what you can do, you know, and then build your portfolio, and then you'll start to do it. You'll build relationships. People will invite you back. You will do something and spark an idea somewhere else around the world that you didn't even know was happening at the time. 4 or 5 years later, someone will call you like, I got asked to do some interior for a nightclub somewhere on my Instagram. You'll see, but I designed these headphones that were couches. They like you sit inside.
Oh yes!
I was so stoked. I mean, I used all the money to do it. I was just like, I had to see these things come to life. The nightclub, I think, only survived for like a year. The owner landed up taking the headphones for his own house. But I was like,
that's a lucky guy. That's a lucky guy.
I was like, surely someone, and I tried to pitch the idea to music festivals. I thought it would be such a rad idea to have these giant headphones. People could sit inside them, Bluetooth, like talk to each other, you know, and no one wanted them. And then like, now like 6 years later, I got a request from like a music museum that in Greece, and I showed them, and they were like, they loved the idea, just as like listening booths.
Right.
So like, it's like, you don't know what you're doing at the time when something of what you're doing might be interest somebody years down the line. So don't, and you know, and that's the thing, you know, like everything you create, unfortunately nowadays with Instagram and stuff like that, you've got to try block off the noise of like doing it for promotion. You've got to do it because it's something you love, and then it will resonate online. Like you see a lot of artists at Burning Man or at festivals will do stuff, and then it's all about getting recognized, you know, like the Instagram and trying to use it to boost their profile. You see it straight away in the art. You know? I mean, you see when somebody creates something out of love because they really were just passionate about that thing. That's the kind of my advice to you.
I think that's some of the best advice I've heard.
Yeah, and we even had some comments on here saying that this is the best episode yet. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. This is incredible.
Absolutely loving having you on here.
Yeah. So before we get to more questions, guys, get those questions ready. We're about to ask you guys to put them in so Daniel can answer them for you. But before we do that, Haley, can you tell us about our promotional code?
Yes, you guys. So basically, to celebrate having Daniel here with us, we've created a special code. It's an awesome code similar to the VIP Maker code we used to have back in the day. And it's just for Daniel Popper, his full name. It's right there on the screen. And that will give you 20% off plus free shipping. Now, the point of this code, as you guys know, is to promote your affiliate link if you have one so that you can get that little bits of income from people who purchase epoxy from Moss Epoxies. So you can also use that code yourself, or if your mom wants to buy some or whatever. It's a great discount. Definitely capitalize on it. And that expires a week from today at midnight. So
on the 13th, correct?
And write it down. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the question boxes or the comment box and we'll answer them for you.
Yeah, and the 20% off is huge because we don't have any codes right now that are running that are 20% off. So make sure to push that because it's like a prime deal.
Yep, take advantage. All right, guys, so it is time. Let's get those questions. So go ahead and comment them, and we're going to pick a few for Daniel to answer.
Okay, I already know one. Oh, sorry.
There was one question there from Lisa Marie. She asked, who hires me? Is it the festivals themselves, or is it brands or like sponsors? Like, how do I get the work?
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a process of networking. So like the festivals themselves have art directors, and then it was like connecting with some of those art directors, you know, sending some blind emails. I remember my early days just sending mails like, yeah, I got this great idea. And like, they don't care because you're not in their network and they're getting so many of these emails, but you just got to keep doing it. And eventually someone will be like, you know what, we actually need a thing here. I've got a space. I've got like $5,000. I need something built over here. You want to come and do it, you know? So like that's how, and then now at the same time there is some brand work, you know, like, you know, I've had stuff done with like Corona Sunsets Festival before, like the brand reached out to me and wanted me to design something interesting for their Corona Festival, or, you know, I'm typically moving away from working with brands, but like it is a great opportunity to get real better budgets to make like higher level stuff. Like on my Instagram, I did some work with Siemens, the like big engineering firm. I like did a big steel tree for a school with those guys. So like it depends. The brands, there's No Behind Productions, you see. So like, you know, there's amazing people out there who work in the festival industry. Reach out to them, and you reach out to me because I also do get a lot of random requests because people just, you know, they come to me. So on my website, there's like a little join the sort of team kind of thing. I think just hit me up, email me, tell me what you do. I'll keep you on my list. And then when I get asked to do some random stuff, I'll let you know.
Awesome, guys. So make sure to check out the website, like Daniel said.
Yeah. And then I saw an interesting one that I'm very curious about too. This was from Amy. And she was asking, with like the installation, are you using like special bolts that you can like undo and redo to like move for shipping? Like, how do you actually put it together and take it apart? I mean, I'm sure it's different for every
typically a
one.
bolts aren't special. They're designed to go together and come apart. So that's really the idea, you know. So it's not a special bolt, it's just a bolt that
bolts are just
connects two things together. But yeah, something that's good to know. That's definitely what we use. It's a plate and bolt system, you know.
And I think she also asked in that same question, she said, do you use like certain power tools like lifts? For example, when you were on the beach living for weeks, where'd you charge your drill?
Oh shit! We got a generator that got full of fans, and then, you know, we had to bring petrol every day down to the beach with us.
Oh my
goodness.
Then
we had a generator, but you couldn't use two power tools at the same time. So you could only because the generator wasn't strong enough, so you could only weld, and then also we had to wait for the welding to be done, and then we could use the steel saw, and then, you know, so yes, power tools. We use big cranes, heavy machinery, telehandlers, forklifts, all that shit, boom lifts, and I mean, and we try and do. Now I don't do that stuff on the beach. I try to do as much in the workshop as I can. And on site we do most of it. Yeah.
Mocha over here has a great question. She said, have you and a customer ever not agreed on a concept that you're in the process of making? And if so, how did you handle an upset customer when you're working on such a large scale project?
Oh my gosh, a good question. I actually recently just had an experience like that.
Oh wow. Good timing.
Spill the beans. Spill the beans.
I don't handle it the best way because I'm very hot-headed, so I use a lot of swear words, and I'm probably never going to be working with that customer again. But you know, it's very rare that happens. But you've got to make sure that the design is agreed upon first. I'm also now definitely at a point where I'm like, you know, I'm very kind of strong with my clients in the sense that it's like, it's my design and you're commissioning me to do it, and that's how it's going to be. You either trust me or you don't, you know. I am open to suggestions though. I'm not like a total, like, you know, wall, because like if it, you know, and interesting things can happen in that discussion if you're dealing with a really cool client. Like the piece I did out in Mykonos at Scorpios Beach Club, it was this like ancient Greek sort of goddess. The brief initially was to design something in homage to the island Delos, which was across the way. And so like I looked into Greek mythology, and there's the whole story of Leto, who gave birth to Artemis and Apollo. And so she was pregnant with twins. It was a whole story. So then I had this idea to create a pregnant figure, and immediately my knee-jerk reaction was I just started going straight into a real figurative sculpture similar to the sculpture I just did out in Fort Lauderdale, in Chicago. But the client then came back to me and he said, why don't we look at like more ancient Greek like sculpture? and it's very, very abstract, like those typical Greek sculptures, just like a flat plane with a nose. And so it pushed me into this more abstract space, and I loved the suggestion. I worked with them to do it, and it was a great result in the end. So as long as you got a cool client you can have a conversation with, it's great. Sometimes you get clients like I just had recently, where after the fact they come and they start wanting to change shit and do shit, and it can end bad.
Do you have like legal financial protections in line for if a client like backs out after you've already gone in on materials or like things like that?
You should have that. You learn the hard way.
Okay. All right. So hey, a bad experience, but learn some lessons, and that's all you can ask for out of
it.
I
mean, typically, you'll learn this later down the line, is like never start until you get a deposit. I've learned that, and I'm still learning that. I'm like, it's funny. I get halfway through the project, and then want to pull the plug on the job, and happen.
Oh my gosh!
Dang, that's so heart wrenching.
Yeah, Daniel, to go along with another like bad experience or something like that. Sparkle and Ice asked this, and I think it'll go fun with this question that you already were answering. But have you ever had a job go like terribly bad? So like while you're building it, something just go absolutely horrible, and like how did you deal with that?
So in terms of like the construction not working out.
Yeah, or like why something going wrong? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I have. I've had a few of those.
Can you tell us about the worst one?
Amazingly, like for the festival stuff, and like when the more professional, the more experienced I got, the less that stuff started to happen. Obviously, it still does happen because I'm still taking extreme risks. Mm-hmm. So we still like thank God, like now, like that piece of the hands with all those roots in Chicago. Man, I learned some hard lessons on that project, and it was insane. But luckily, there wasn't a strict deadline, so we really could do it. I blew my budget to smithereens because I ended up having to spend an extra month there than I should have. But it was really like if there was a deadline on that, it would have been I would have been in tears. Because it didn't work the way I planned it to. So it all just went wrong. But it was a very forgiving medium. It's steel and concrete, so it's nothing like a sledgehammer, an angle grinder, and a welder can't fix. We just broke it, and smashed it until it fixed, until it was working. So, and then we had to repair it. So that was that. But one interesting one where I learned, like I did this sort of this big dragon breathing fire thing at Africa Burn. And I just didn't do it. I just, again, didn't have big budget. I totally winged it. I didn't have the structural knowledge that I have now. I designed the most janky structure you've ever seen. And one storm came and the whole thing just crumbled. It was about 25 feet tall, and the whole thing just came smashing down.
Oh, no.
Thankfully, nobody was hurt. But... I was very freaked out. I was very sad about the whole thing, and like drinking a lot. And then I just like an amazing group of people and friends came and were like, let's put it back up. And we managed to put it back up. We fixed it. But yeah, there's been some pretty interesting moments along the way. But you learn now. Like one thing is I'm learning the capacity to deal with these, and my two partners as well. We're very aware shit can happen. So when it happens, instead of freaking out, you just go, okay, this is happening. What's the solution to this problem? And I think your biggest stress is going to be is financial, really, because you can throw money at a problem, fix it. Yeah. But sometimes you don't have it, and you've got to figure out another plan.
Mm-hmm. And then there was also a really interesting question here from Jen Lynn R and also Wanda. They were wondering if you ever had issues with vandalism. And if so, like, how do you protect your pieces from damages? Have people damaged your pieces before?
They definitely have, especially doing work at festivals. You're dealing with like the lowest common denominator of human being who's like going to get absolutely wasted and try and do some crazy shit. So I have seen people like, and there's also like, some of that you've got to understand. Everyone's going to climb your shit. Like, it's not meant for climbing. People are going to climb. Now I'm working in concrete. I'm like, it's cool, you can climb. But if you fall, don't blame me. But the sculpture's not going to break. But I have had moments at festivals where I've seen people just getting so, just being very disrespectful to the work, and just trashing it, and then in the public space, whatever, if it's graffiti or whatever. Now I just kind of look at it as part of the work. I'm like, that's cool. But I'm also very aware of it in the design. If you design something that is easy to break, don't be surprised if it gets broken. Right. If you design something that is easy to climb and you don't want people to climb it, don't. So like, it's part of my thought process.
I feel like it helps a little that your sculptures are like so tall. Even if someone graffitis, it's like, all right, you got the bottom 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. Good job, kid.
New sculpture going up at EDC at Electric Daisy Carnival this year in October is designed to look like a building but it's a figurative sculpture that's like this ancient relic kind of like a building site that's been vandalized. So it's full of graffiti.
Really?
And so kind of like, if you want to come and graffiti it, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh
I saw one question there. Somebody asked, like, have I ever turned down a job for a client because I didn't like their vibe? Definitely. The answer is yes.
I feel like as an artist, that's a skill you have to develop eventually, either by trial and error or natural instinct. You got to say no to some people because bad vibes.
I'm not, like, on my website, I've put a submissions form that gives us a better insight as well into people. They fill out their requests and you sort of get a sense of their vibe,
Yeah. I have a question. So this has been bothering me. The Chicago one that you just did, are the vines and stuff like real plants? Okay.
No. So the pregnant woman, those like roots and stuff like that, that's all concrete. That's all hand carved concrete. There's no real wood involved. But at the base of that sculpture, I've planted real vines, like the Virginia creepers. Really? They haven't started growing yet, so hopefully by fall it'll have grown.
How long will it be there for? I mean,
the show's on for about a year. There's talk of potentially commissioning another couple of pieces and extending the show for another year. But yeah, for now it's on for a whole year. I recommend going in the fall. The trees are insanely beautiful out there.
Road trip.
Road trip, guys. Maker Meetup road trip. Yeah. I think that sounds amazing.
Have you had clients ask, and I don't necessarily know how your process works, but do people ever like commission things and then like rent them where you could have it be a traveling piece and like different installation places can
so like typically like for EDC Insomniac, we want to do pieces that can go to all their shows because the Electric Daisy Carnival goes from Vegas. They do one in Orlando, they do one in Mexico, one in China. So the more it can break down and travel for an event like that, the better. So you want to make it out of lightweight materials. You want the thing needs to be able to come apart and go back together numerous times. So that's a particular brief. Where the commission is to do something that isn't just single use. So we're going to use it for a couple of events. And then I've had some interesting requests, like to do something at a wedding, that it will be up at the venue, but then the client wants to own it afterwards and for it to be permanently installed at their home. So it's got to be done with that in mind. So it's got to be able to put it together for the wedding, break it apart, and then permanently install it.
And piggybacking off of that, I don't know if you know Blake, from BM Sculptures. He makes incredible, not to your scale, they're not as big, but he also makes incredible sculpture work. He asked what happens to them after the exhibit is over, after the show is over.
I was just going to ask that. What do you do?
If I was the manager that commissioned this, I'd be like, I'm parking that in my backyard. But
I gotta have some space though. Yeah, you gotta get the land.
So the pieces at the Arboretum now, they're for sale. So so I've had a few inquiries for people interested in buying it. And then there's also a couple of other botanical gardens that have reached out that are interested. And it's interesting because they might not have the budget necessarily to commission something new, but they will want to rent it for a year. So then we can negotiate something like that. You know? So these pieces in Chicago might go traveling around to other botanical gardens. They might go to private clients' homes and stuff like that. The piece out in Fort Lauderdale, that's not going anywhere. It's made to stay there forever.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can go see it. Cool.
Yeah, I guess yes.
That's
Haley,
awesome.
next time I come to Florida, we're going.
Hey, me too.
We're going. All of us.
Yeah, can we all go? Can we?
Yes, we can
we
all
all
go.
Y'all welcome. Come to my house.
Oh my god!
is
Well, that is
so
awesome, and I
incredible.
love that the sculptures like continue to bring you like new clients because they travel, and then once it's over, it's like the opportunity for another home for it to find and stuff like that. I just love the continue.
Yeah.
I love that the art goes on a journey as much as you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's incredible.
I
Daniel,
see
you've given us
someone
so
there.
much insight today.
So another question was, what's your worst scar injury that you've ever
Yeah.
had?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
tell us
So
about
I
that.
honestly tell you, and I mean, if any of you are in the maker's place, and I don't mean to sound like cheesy here, but it's like when I've made a piece of art that I'm not happy about, or that I don't have time to finish because of the deadline. And
Oh,
it's like, I have to stop, and I'm like, it's not finished. I'm like, and I have to stop, and I don't like it, and I can't look at it, and now everyone's taking photos of it, and I'm just like, oh.
The emotional
no.
scar.
That is, I promise you, that is
Yeah.
the worst feeling in the world. But you know,
Oh,
Super cheesy answer, but also
Yeah.
as artists,
the
we know
best
that is
answer.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely best answer you could have given us, Daniel. No.
And we're our own worst critic too. So
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel, I mean, I don't even have the words. You've given us so much insight into your world. Like, this has just been so incredible. And you basically are inspiring this next challenge that we have that I'm going to give the audience now. Guys, so with everything you learned today, with the inspiration, how to take a small concept and how to start going to make it bigger, our challenge for you this season is to take a concept that you're going to make of a project you want to do that's bigger than a project you've ever made before. You're going to have 8 weeks to create this project. So this is a season-long challenge that you all are going to have. But for this week's challenge, we want you guys to plan it out because we want you to have this next 7 weeks to actually work on the project. So we want you to make a timeline, a list of materials you're going to need, do your research, a description for this project that you want to do. And for next week's challenge, we want you to post that on the Maker Meetup website. I am going to create a group for us there, like a little group for this to concentrate, and all of our work is going to be there. And we want you guys to post there so that if you have questions saying this is the project I want to do, I'm not really sure about this portion. So we can help each other out, comment on each other's posts as a community, as we always do, support one
it
another.
doesn't need to be huge.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be
big-
huge.
Yeah, just
It can
bigger
be-
than what you're used to.
Yeah, or more detailed, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
Just push your boundary. Like, you know, I don't tell people go out and try and make these massive things. Just push yourself to do something out of your comfort zone.
I love
Yeah,
that.
curiosity.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and Daniel, I think that was just great input on it. If it's more details, just something way out of your comfort zone, but something that you think you can develop over 8 weeks. So make it like a really good one. Something you've always wanted to do. You're going to have the community to help you. You have us to push you and guide you. And Daniel just gave us so much information today that just so inspiring. So, guys, so that's that. And I think it's time to announce our giveaway winner from today.
Ooh.
Kelly?
Yeah. Okay, so first off, I just want to thank you guys for all of your questions. I know we didn't get to hit every single one of them, but I'm telling you, you guys were like flawless on the question game tonight. So thank you guys so much for joining in. And our winner for tonight's giveaway, which is $100 gift card to Mas Epoxies and an apron, it is, drumroll please, Jen Ling Art.
Yay! Amazing.
We absolutely loved your comments and your questions and how engaged you were tonight. And everyone tonight has just been on it. And Daniel, I hope you feel the love. Everybody's like geeking out that you're on our little show.
I think we're still geeking out. I'm definitely still absolutely geeking out. Yeah. Daniel.
Well, it's lovely to meet you all, and it's great to be part of the community. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
We know how incredibly busy you are, Daniel. And guys, don't forget, follow Daniel on his Facebook, on Instagram. He's also on Twitter. But make sure you follow him because we absolutely have to follow all of his next footsteps in this incredible art world that we are all in.
On a road trip to see.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're gonna do a road trip. So I think if enough of us bug him, maybe we can do a complete all of us together road trip, and he'll come along. Maybe.
I want to see them all. Too. I want to do a world tour just to see all your.
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah.
And definitely hit me up if you guys want to come jump on our team and volunteer and come and experience.
Hey, you guys.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, remember you can go to Daniel's website and go ahead and submit for that, right? Yep. Nice. So we'll do that.
Awesome.
You guys, what an amazing first episode back.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. And Jen, go ahead and just DM us on the Maker Meetup, and we'll go ahead and get you all hooked up, okay?
Congratulations,
you guys, this is amazing.
Jen.
Seriously. Y'all, this has been amazing. Thank you guys again for the support. Daniel, again, thank you so much. We know how busy you are. This was incredible. And guys, we will see you in 2 weeks, but we will post on the Maker Meetup website, onto Instagram, to remind you guys about posting all of your creative ideas about this amazing project you guys are going to do. You guys are going to kick butt, and we're super excited for it. So we will see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.